to admitting people?
Yeah, actually, I think they're all just coming in right now.
Okay, so you can take care of it.
Yeah.
I'll watch too, Marty.
Thank
All right,
you.
that's great. Okay, got it. All right, so welcome to AI for Speakers. About a year ago, this time, I was working with a group of futurists and technologists, and we were convinced that it was all about the metaverse. And so much so that we all got the goggles, we did book reviews, we created spaces where we interacted, we created avatars for ourselves, and I gave 3 speaking engagements in the metaverse last year. But everything changed on November 30th, 2022. And it changed in just an absolute heartbeat. Within a week, when they launched ChatGPT, within a month, they had 1 million. So this has been something in our lifetime that I've never experienced. I mean, we experienced the internet, we experienced the iPhone and lots of other technology, but this has been a pretty remarkable, and it's the first $1 trillion business possibility ever. So I'm going to bring up my slides, and we are going to talk about AI and how you can use it for speakers in the visual context and in some content. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Marti Konstant. I am a workplace futurist, but I wasn't always a workplace futurist. I was a technology marketer, and I became very interested in everything about the future because of my career. And so fast forward to today, where I am introducing a new term that I created 12 years ago. I created the term career agility, did not exist 12 years ago. And a couple weeks ago, I created the term AI agility. And so this is what I am calling the type of work that we use to understand AI and how we can use it for our business. So today's going to go is we're going to have maybe 7-8 minutes of slides. And then we are going to do demos of everything, because that's what it's going to take to show you. Okay, so what is AI agility? It's a curious mindset guided by response to change and technology. The idea is to optimize creativity and productivity by multiplying your time and impact using AI. So today's presentation, and might be one of the reasons why you signed up, is it's about transforming your presentations into visual stories using AI tools. So we're talking about content and visual. All of the visuals that you see tonight were all created using AI, generative AI. So mostly MidJourney. So the definition, you've probably heard this, but I'm just going to do it again, just in case there's someone that doesn't remember that it's now called Gen AI. It's not a new generation, but it is called Gen AI, and it's general artificial intelligence. And we generate text, images, and media. So all your videos, even movies. So here we are today, November 30th, 2022. ChatGPT was launched. OpenAI has other platforms as well, but ChatGPT was launched at that time. At that time, I don't have the exact count, but I check on this count every few weeks. And 2 weeks ago, I checked, there's 58,000 AI companies today. That's why it's going to be $1 trillion business, and we're going to have 1 billion users, which is going to be amazing. To have 1 million users is pretty remarkable, but this is growing exponentially. Here's some of the AI tools. We are talking about 3 tools tonight. But we've all heard of Google Bard, Bing, ChatGPT, Claude. Claude was started by guys from OpenAI. So they splintered off and they started Claude. Actually, it's called Anthropic, Perplexity. So these are chats, images, MidJourney, Canva. Adobe Firefly has some really slick stuff. I haven't gotten into that yet. Stable Diffusion, Photoshop, Bing, DALL-E 2. You may have heard about that as well. DALL-E 2 is by OpenAI, the parent company of ChatGPT, and Jasper, etc. So we've got a number of other things. And this, again, this isn't all, 58,000, but these are the top tools that we have been working with this same group that I've been meeting with twice a week since last November. Actually, 3 years ago, I started meeting with them, but we started meeting with these tools starting last November. So I've been exposed to most of these tools in those labs. So who's using ChatGPT or some form of Gen AI? Say why in the chat if you are using some form of Gen AI.
Whoa.
Wow, we got some cool. Oh, Jasper. Awesome. So it seems like people that are responding have used some of it. Client prep, Todd uses it for. Ask questions about the company, where it's strong, where not. ChatGPT, Jasper, Gmail. Dr. Tish, I haven't used it at all. So thank you for your honesty. You're not alone, by the way. Rosie uses ChatGPT and Claude. Did you know that Claude is only available in the US and Canada? Or no, UK. It's not available in Canada. It's only the US and the UK. People are just jealous. They want to get it because they've heard so many good things about it. So the thing to remember about any form of language learning model, which ChatGPT is a language learning model, it's a duo. It's you plus technology. And if we think about you being the pilot and technology being the co-pilot, you're going to be in a better situation rather than letting technology do it all for us or write it all for us. This is not a cut and paste world, and it is not one that I recommend. So McKinsey came out with a report just a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 40% men, 33% women. This was a knowledge worker base, McKinsey clients. But see where the dark blue is? That dark blue is the actual people that are using it in their workflows and using it extensively. And then they're using it a little bit and a little less. So you've got, 32% that is using it a little bit, but those that are using it fully in their workflows is very small, 8 and 12%. Where is it being used? North America is tied with Asia Pacific, no surprise there. Developing markets next, and then we have a whole list that comes beyond that. But it's not surprising that North America is leading in that way. What industries are using AI? We've got technology, media, and telecom, financial, business, legal, professional services, healthcare, pharma, med products. I was a little surprised that, pharma wasn't using this more and healthcare. However, they're just not using it as fast. We read about it a lot in the diagnostics area. So on a scale of 1 to 10, when I sent out that survey to all of you, we got quite a few responses. So thank you so much for that. On a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you know how to use AI? So no one's really above a 7, or at least a self-professed 7. And then we have more people, a little bit, 4 people that are not using it much at all. How well do you know about it? So I always do this, and I'm seeing these charts change over time. Every time I do a presentation, we do an assessment of this. So for today, I asked you what you wanted to hear about. You wanted to hear about image creation for marketing, social media art and images, promotional copy, industry research, video tools. And there's more. I think video tools, I'm here to say that we're not going to get into video tools today because we don't have the time. I think video is going to require a separate session. I want to do justice to that. So in 6 months, we will no longer need prompt engineers. We hear a lot about people getting paid lots of money to do prompts, but it's going to be just like it was with the internet. In 6 months, we are going to be educated and we'll be able to use it as part of our workflows. And that's an area that I am specializing in right now is workflows. So how do you use ChatGPT, these LLMs? You can ask questions, content through 2021. Claude actually has a little bit more recent content. And unlike some people think that ChatGPT 4, the one that you pay for, has more recent content, it does not. It goes through 2021. I'm sure it'll be updated soon. We can organize content with PDFs and studies, research, articles, white papers. So you can organize content from others, and then you can query your own content. Now, I want to show you a really fun application today about your own content. So the main ideas here before we get off of this part of the presentation and into our demo is similar to anyone that's ever been in marketing. We always had to write a creative brief. Any campaign that we were going to run, we had to know who our audience was, what we were trying to accomplish, what were the requirements, what's the goal, what's the strategy. But what's different here is you'll see the word role. There's an important part of ChatGPT acting as a certain type of expert. So whether it be engineer or digital marketer or doctor. So it acts as a endocrinologist and give me some vision into what something looks like. So this is what it looks like. Who do you want to reach? What do you want to do? Act as an advisor. What do you want to accomplish? And then what are the word counts? Let's see. So I wanted to jog over to something else. Like what does what does the format look like? So I am going to provide some useful resources. So I've got prompts for everybody today that I'm going to hand off to you. But this is a guy named Ethan Mollick. He writes One Useful Thing. And he talks all about language models, but this article is super, super on target. He's a Wharton professor, and he talks about using it in the educational system, and he doesn't use it for people to cheat or write papers, but he uses people to experiment with it on papers, and then the group then critiques what works and what doesn't, so everybody's learning. And he talks about this idea of encoding, expertise. So this is, a little bit of what I was talking about the students. So these are some of the, I'm going to go back to here. So remember that name, Ethan Mollick. Here's an example of a prompt. Act as an instructional designer. Write a course on best practices and case studies of successful customer experience initiatives in the financial services sector. That's a little tip towards you, Jeannie. Highlight examples of financial institutions that have excelled in delivering exceptional CX and discuss the strategies and approaches they have adopted. Include questions and activities for commercial bankers. So that's an example of a prompt. So a prompt can be as easy as act as an instructional designer and write a course based on the content I just uploaded to you in the form of a PDF. So this is an example. Now this is, I'm doing some examples in ChatGPT 3.5, ChatGPT 3.5 and 4. 3.5 is the first one. So this is an example, and you're not going to be able to see it because it's really small type. Act as an instructional designer, write a course on best practices and case studies. just what I just said right now. It goes on to create a course overview. And prior to this, there's a whole series of chain prompts. What is customer experience? In fact, we could even go up there. I can show it to you. You can do a chained prompt, which is, I don't know anything about this topic because I'm an L&D professional and I want to know how to teach this to bankers. What is customer experience? You get a basic information on it. Why is it important within the financial industry? You get everything from regulatory compliance to building trust and loyalty. The L&D professional that built a course on this told me that this was about 70% on target, and then she manipulated it. She said that this process that she did to build a course would have taken 10 to 15 hours, and she did it in 2 to 3. So the productivity is there as long as you interact with it as a human. How is customer experience measured and benchmarked within commercial banking? So she didn't know those answers: customer surveys, net promoter score, customer effort score, etc. Act as a trainer, write objectives for a course. Write objectives. You can agree or disagree or collaborate with someone to create that differently. And then create a training module. This particular one was 2 hours. And this one was a 4-hour course covering some additional details. And then the person that was researching here, again, this was a call to change prompt. It's about how you think as a human and questions come to your mind. If you wanted to load up a 10,000 word document to inform this, it would remember all of this through this series of prompts all the way through.
You're calling from there.
Okay, and then this was kind of cool. I thought, give me an example of 3 case studies of successful CX initiatives within the banking industry. And it proceeds to give me 3 examples: DBS Bank, USAA, and then a mobile first approach for USAA, and then ING. So it goes global. So a useful tool. And then this particular format, and I put this in the prompt document that I'm offering to you. It's based on the Feynman technique, FEAYNMAN, a learning person. If you ever want to find out the basics about something and then figure out, like, well, what am I missing to start off with? You start off with a question like, explain whatever it is, customer experience strategy, in its simplest terms possible, as if teaching it to a complete beginner. Identify gaps in my understanding and suggest resources to fill them. So and this is 3.5. 4.0 would give me a little bit more information. There we go. So that's a prompt example. And the idea here is, we all think about, oh, we have to have the perfect prompt. It's like programming. We can do the back and forth, just like I demonstrated there. It's a conversation rather than worrying about it being perfect. So ask a question to help you understand anything. This is the Feynman technique. Explain the idea of a topic in its simplest form. I already showed you the example in advance. And if you want more, think like Socrates. Ask another question. Depending on the sequence, it will remember the content that you uploaded. The example I just showed you didn't have an uploaded document, but it may have had a research paper or a resume or something like that. So this is the process for a change prompt. It's a series of questions. I broke it down into 3 simple areas here: research, strategy, and then creation of whatever it is that you're working on, workflow. In this series of questions that I just demonstrated to you, I broke them down, color-coded them here. So the orange is the research, the blue is the strategy, and the light blue is creating the content. Okay. So I am now going to switch over to the other part of the presentation. Stop sharing that. So before I go any further, I want to attend to any questions that people have before I start explaining how text to visual works and some other LLM examples. Any questions so far?
I do, Marty. Can you? That
Sure.
was really informative. That course one you shared, was that a did you share the prompt, or can you provide that in some format, the prompt you used to get all that information for the course?
I have the entire, I have a 5-page PDF and I have every single prompt that I used today.
Awesome. Thank you.
I did some in Claude, some in ChatGPT, and some of you use others. And Hayden introduced me to another system as well. It's an all-inclusive, all-in-one. It does everything. It's great. It's easy, but it also has limitations. So I did experiment with that one, and I'm able to talk about that one as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. So what we're going to do now is start with a demo. I showed you some demos, showed you some prompts, what it's like to create a course. You could be doing that. There's a lot of entrepreneurs here. We have courses on our work and our books. So it's really quite relevant, and it'll kickstart you. It won't write it for you. And if it does, it probably isn't going to be as interesting as the amount of information that is in your head. Use it just to get yourself started. Okay. Now, kind of a fun presentation to organize here, because a lot of this presentation is demo. So what did I tell you here? I told you about, there's two of the most popular is Claude and ChatGPT. ChatGPT 3.5 is free, 4 is $20 a month. The competitor, which is Claude by Anthropic, is totally free right now. I encourage anyone to get in now while you can. It's actually easier to use. It's a little bit easier interface. And the thing that differentiates it from ChatGPT, you can throw a 10,000 word PDF onto Claude and have it summarize it. If you do that with ChatGPT, you have to be on 4. And you have to have a plugin. So it's more complicated, and they constrict the size. So if you wanted to do a 10,000 word document, wouldn't be possible on ChatGPT right now. I'm sure that will change, but you can do all of that on Claude. This is why I'm so high on that. Okay, so what we're going to, Hayden, you had a question?
Yeah, I just thought of this. Can any of these edit? So if you drafted something, a podcast, a chapter to a book, could you run it through there in an initial edit and save some time that way?
You can, it's not going to be edit like a professional editor, but I will tell you, if you say that, please improve this content and tell them how you want it improved and describe the copy editing process and the things that you care about, it will do a very reasonable job, but it's going to do exactly what you tell it to do. It's not going to think about things way beyond what you tell it to do. So it's not going to do the same thing that my editor did for me in my book. But it's going to get your first draft to a pretty reasonable first draft. So the agenda, any other questions before I go on, Hayden?
No.
Okay, great.
I got nothing.
Before you do, I saw Bill Guertin. Bill, are you there? He's been waving. So did you see
I'm not waving per se. There's the way in which these things are worded. If I were to put the exact same prompt into my computer that you did, would I receive the exact same output?
You won't ever receive the exact same output.
Ever.
You're going to receive similar output. It's never going to be exactly the same.
So it's a random generator based on whatever's floating around at that moment?
It is a generator. I don't know if I'd call it random, but it's a generator. And it's going to answer the questions, but it's not, and you'll see it too in the text to visual. You're going to see different results most of the time. Now on that course on banking for the banking executives, I bet you it's going to come up with some of those same topics. I did 2 prompts for courses. I changed the wording just a little bit, and it just assumed the next one was going to be a 4-hour course. So it just gave me more. I didn't ask for it, gave me more.
So assuming I'm going to get whatever comes out of GPT-5 or whatever I'm using, do I own that material?
Yes.
Okay, that's an important thing for all of us. We're into
Well,
IT and
this would be another topic of conversation. There's a legal part of this. Like you can say, oh, ChatGPT or AI was used in this process, but you don't copyright AI. You don't, AI doesn't, the AI, ChatGPT doesn't own it. It's yours.
okay.
That is a big point.
But this is really important for all of us who have IP, or our IP is going to show up in a ChatGPT example for somebody else. We just need to be aware of where we are on this. And thank you for that clarification. I don't want to take too much time here, but because we have other things to learn. So thank you.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I want to get to the graphic and visual part of it, but I'm going to give you one more example, and there's more examples in this document that you're going to get, and we'll see if we have time to come back to them. But the one I'm going to give you is, how many of you are guests on podcasts? Raise your hand. I can't see everybody, but a lot of people are. So what I did is I found a podcast that Jeannie was on. She was a guest, and I found a podcast that Dean was on. Jeannie was on for 25 minutes. So her number of words were less. Dean's words were over 10,000 words. And it was in a YouTube video. And the YouTube video just has timestamps. And then it just has like narrative, like, would you ever really go back to it? So the idea is, I got this idea actually from Andy Crestadina. I am in an AI hack chat group with him, and I'm going to show you what we did. Okay. We'll go to Dean's first. So I'm going to show you what happens.
All that to be said is it's as a
model.
model.
Dean, hold on a second. I'm going to put it up here.
Watching would have.
Okay. So when there's a podcast, you think, well, where do I go to get a transcript? Because sometimes, some places, podcasts, they do it for you. Well, here you can show the transcript. Look at this transcript. It's great, but it's not useful. So I wanted to show you how messy this was on the front end of it. I did not share the screen with you. Hold on a second. This is what happens when you do the, okay, here we go. So here you have Dean doing a podcast, and his transcript off to the side on a YouTube video is 10,000 words. And Andy Crestadina, he's a brilliant marketer. He said, why not turn that transcript into useful information, like a blog post, like a 500-word blog post, and come up with 10 headlines? This was his idea. Stop sharing that and then get to the next one. Got lots of screens open here. Here we go. All right, so now I'm going to take this content, share the screen, and I'm going to go into Claude. And I'm not going to do it from scratch and enter in all of the stuff, but this is I will show you exactly where I put the prompt in. It says, summarize this transcript. And you'll notice here, I have a little text document. So what I did is I copied and pasted Dean's text from his podcast. I put it into a text document and I added it. There's a little file here at the bottom, and you can just add it just like you upload any file. And they put it right here. And then it says, summarize this transcript and focus on the communications theme from Dean's comments. Take this podcast transcript and write a 750-word blog post with narrative format and a few bullet lists. Offer 1 to 2 quotes from Dean and write it as an article written by Dean. Provide 10 options for clever headlines. Provide 10 options for serious headlines. So you might say, could you have done that in a back and forth? Absolutely. So the beige part here is what I put in. And then it says, sure, here's a 764-word blog post. And he had a headline here, unlocking better communication insights from an expert. And then they put in the clever headlines first. They did a little out of order. Communication 911, first aid tips from an expert. Communication breakdown, how to get in sync. Miscommunication station, tuning into each other. Now, these are possible headlines. So these are what I call the clever headlines. You could have had a humorous headlines. Communication code cracked and experts insights. Then I asked for serious headlines in that same prompt. Unlocking better communication insights from an expert. Bridging communication gaps and experts' advice. Understanding personality differences for enhanced communication. So this is more corporate. And the way that they wrote the article, and I didn't delve any deeper into this, they acted as if a third person was writing about Dean. I asked them to include quotes. And so there's some quotes in here from Dean. So Dean could take this article, he could prompt it a little bit more, or he could take this article and rejig it so that it makes sense that it's in the right person, that it's not in this third person. It could be an article that he wrote, the 750 article blog post. This was another one that I used Jeannie as an example, and I won't go into where I got hers. I got it from a podcast, and I did the same thing that I just did with Dean. Hers wasn't as long. And then ultimately I asked to create a 100-word summary describing a workshop that she's going to deliver. And they're senior leaders in corporations who care about customer retention, or actually client retention, it should have been. So then this is this is a 100-word summary. I'm not wild about the 100-word summary here, but I know that if we tweaked this, we could get a better summary. The main thing is Jeannie knows that it's extracted from her copy, it's extracted from her voice, it's not brought from anybody else. And then this is her article, rewrite a 1,000-word article with a call to action using narrative format and provide a few bullet points. And so this is, she's got a lot of great quotes in here. Jeannie wants to create fewer ruined days. And so this is in there. She can use this quote. And of course she's going to remember it because we've heard her say that before. And these are pretty decent takeaways and then strategies. And so it's summarized all this from all of that text. So it makes it infinitely usable. And even if it's got 30% or 40% that is there, you can take it over and do the rest, or you can play some more with prompts. So I'm going to stop there. And I've got examples, and I'm not going to do this because we're not going to have time. I've got examples about how to summarize a 12-page PowerPoint from content, just to do the content. Copilot isn't out yet, ready for prime time from Microsoft. When that comes out, I will have more of that. So this might be a good time to volley over to the visual, text to visual. Does that sound like a plan?
I think Hayden's got a question.
Hayden.
No, just a comment. Marty, you're going to have to quit telling us all the different things you could show us, because this is now going to be a series rather than a rather than an event. You're like 3 things. I'm like, okay, well, you're coming. We'll nag you to come back for that.
I mean, thank you. That would be wonderful. There's so much you can do. I could show how we could write some of these summaries for our promotional items. There's lots you can do here. So I am going to go to.
Yeah, as you go there, Marty, which is great. I really see the value for all of us here in getting another perspective on how we would say something before we actually go in and edit what they give us back.
Right.
The real value in this is, how would somebody else word what I would say? And to go in and to tweak it and almost self-correct what you might say as the final product. You know, we've all had to critique other people's materials before, but never have we had our own material coming back to us from an AI to tweak. And I find that infinitely valuable to me.
I agree. It's a creative partner. It's a sparring partner. It's getting more logical, and it can be extremely creative, especially with headlines. I've done a lot of branding stuff with it. So I'm showing you Shutterstock. You might go, oh, well, that's where you get, stock photos. If you want to get ideas, anybody here, give me an idea for an image that you're looking for last month or today.
A gorilla.
Gorilla? Well, now they have gorilla babies. But if you want to look at something like this, and maybe this, it says it's just as a gorilla baby. So I'm going to do something that's a little bit more descriptive on that. So let's put in something like diverse group of people in project management. Okay, so you can see this and you think, well, how am I going to write the prompt? I don't really know how to write that prompt. Well, how does Shutterstock describe their photos? So this is like a super slick little trick here. So concentrated, diverse, sit at desk, brainstorm working on laptop together, focus, multiracial workers, because sometimes you put things in the visual stuff and it doesn't understand diverse, but clearly multiracial may work better. Discuss business ideas. Sometimes it just doesn't understand, or it shoots up all people that are between 25 and 35 years old. It's been challenging for me to get the right age group in some of this. So I wanted to show Shutterstock too, because if you ever want to know the kind of things you want to use, that's how you can do it.
The person that shouted out gorilla, what are you using it for? You just made that up?
Well, that's my brand.
He's Bill Gertine. He's the 800-pound gorilla.
See, I could have put the 800-pound gorilla in there.
Of course.
It would tell me a big one.
You went
right?
diversity, so I
Right.
wasn't sure what was going with that. Okay. All right.
So, I'm going to pull up. We were in Canva, so I'm going to come back to that. Get out of Claude. When you're pulling up 5 screens, it makes it very fun. Okay, so we're going to go back to Canva.
Janita, he smells like a gorilla sometimes too.
Don't talk about Bill. Don't mess with Bill.
So to show you some things that you can do with images. So this one, I can go to MidJourney where I got it from, but I'm not going to go there right now. But I had to put in 45-year-old woman, with binoculars with a blue background, and it gave me the sky, and I changed the color. And the reason I show this in Canva, there's really fun stuff you can do. This background remover is so Cool. So if you want your images to look, they're going to look different because no one else is going to have this image. So we're going to have this image and say you want to put in.
Are you wanting to share your screen, Marty? Because we're not
Sorry.
seeing it.
Thank you for that. I'll go back. Okay, so in this particular one, it's not showing it either. So hold on. Okay, there we go. So I'm not gonna go full screen on this, but this is your workplace mode in Canva. And I can show you the text to visual that you can get for free in Canva. It's okay. I would say it's got a long ways to go. But if you wanted to take an image like this and you wanted to remove the background, you just simply remove the background. And if you want to put in, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to put in a color. So you wanted to have a background that was yellow. This one is not yellow, but it will be in a second.
As you're doing that, Marty, you had used Canva for all of the graphics here. And is it an add-on for Canva's monthly fee, or is that included?
Everything's included. They're updating stuff every day. So this is if you wanted, this to be like this, but you could actually move her off to the right if you had your copy. You just wanted it to look different. You can also do things like change the filters just like you can on your iPhone. You can do everything that you do on your iPhone here. You can use different filters.
Remind me,
so
Marty,
it's-
did you say you created this character in MidJourney or in Canva?
I did. MidJourney.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
And you brought
I can
brought that image into Canva so you can do your design work.
Yeah, because you just do it the PNGs and JPEGs. But I'm going to do something here. We'll do it on this page. We're going to do text to image. And I'm going to put project management, sticky notes. And what happens is every time you use an image, it says try another. I don't know why it's doing that. So we're having some challenges with Canva right now. It seems to be down on its text to image, but what you'll find then, it'll give you some images, but they won't be near the caliber and quality of MidJourney. So I will show you a little bit about MidJourney. This is the MidJourney. It's not where you create the images, it's where they get placed when they get sized. So here's an image. I created a group of people, sticky notes. You can get some really creative and fun images. Now, MidJourney is $30 a month. And you may say, wow, $360 a year, that's a lot of money. I used to work in the creative services industry, and we used to pay so much money to get original images. I was working on some images the other day. And so, see, I have to say 50-year-old. Sometimes when I see 50-year-old, they'll make her look 80. But luckily, I was able to get this image the other day. And again, Bill, you were asking, do you have much control? Sometimes you can say, I want a blue background, and it'll give you a red background. So you really have to be mindful of what you're doing. I find they usually give me women with long hair, and they're usually between the ages of 25 and 35. And so I have to be very intentional about how I prompt this. This woman that I did just to show, I put her at 50. She has a little bit different binoculars. I put her at 50, and I think I put her at 45. So she looks a little different. I mean, you can tell a little bit. And I have other examples. If you have an advertising campaign, where you want a burger with fire, you can specify a burger with fire. You will not get these kinds of images on Canva, but you could get some pretty cool images. This one was super fun. Speaking of animals, I asked for a silver elephant in the wild. I don't know what I would use it for, but if you want to get people to be interested in your stunning visual imagery, this would be a place to do this. I thought it might be fun to use, Socrates, which I did, but I also did something with Aristotle. Yeah, Aristotle with a modern laptop presenting to a group of listeners. So you might have some clever way, something that you want to talk about in your talk that you can get super creative. This is it's not at all what it says it is, but if I said a room, David Hockney style, anybody who's an art aficionado will know that David Hockney does these really beautiful, flat kind of colored images. He does people, he does the Southwest, he does the West, and these kind of are his colors, some of his colors. If you wanted another artist, you could do something like Vincent van Gogh. If you wanted to do architecture, this was my, I wanted an Asian man with gray hair. They gave me all these 20-year-olds, and I wanted somebody that looked a little older, and I asked for him to be looking off to the side. Sometimes they always center the pictures. They won't, it's tough to get it the way that you want it. There are architects all over the world using it for their designing buildings. I know a couple of global architects that are using this.
Can you make an image for us in real time, Marty? Or what does that consist of?
Yes, I can. So it requires being in a Discord server, and I would be happy to show. Now, this is like the public thing. I created my own Discord server, which is the same amount. It always serves them up in 4. So let's, does anybody have an image that they would like?
A carousel, merry-go-round.
Okay. I'll say in Italy, and I want it to be having some problems with my you always have to prompt it. And what it's going to do, it's probably going to do it in a photographic piece. And it's, you can see it's waiting. And it's because I didn't specify that it was 16 by 9, it's going to give me 4 options that are square, which could be useful. And you can see it's sort of building it now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, wait a second. Are these images that already exist now, or is it actually creating them as we're viewing this?
It's creating them. It's using reference material. So what these models do is they use reference material. So you can see, this is my playground, if you will, that I was working on. This was, I put a baby elephant sitting in a room and watching the city. And it gave me a real baby. And sometimes it'll put a third leg on a person. So you have to be kind of careful with how you're doing this. So this is what I was experimenting with the other day. So if you want like speaker, there is no picture that looks like this on the whole planet. I put close up 50-year-old handsome Asian man, back of head, holding high quality dynamic microphone, speaking on stage with, I put white background, it gave me a black background. But I picked that description up from Shutterstock because I was being unsuccessful with getting the images that I wanted. And sometimes you can ask for it in other colors and it won't give it to you. It did give me somebody with just a real casual coat. I didn't want that. But that's an image.
It seems as though you have to fish around a little bit, but Marti, the stuff that you end up with is pretty astonishing.
It is pretty astonishing. I agree with that. One of the things, we're all authors. I did a slider for Parisa, and a slider, you can do them square, you can do them vertical. And this picture of her, she had a background in her, and I took the background away from her by selecting her and using the tool to get rid of the background. And then I had her standing in front of her book and used the color scheme of her book and her dress to inform what the rest of this looks like. And then we took quotes from her book. And then when you create a slider, it's as easy. I call it a slider. You can call it a carousel. You simply download it, and you download it into a PDF standard, download it, done, and then you plop it over to LinkedIn, and it becomes we're going to go to Parisa's homepage. Parisa is a new member here this year in Illinois, even though she's in Florida a lot of the time. So we're going to go to her profile, and then we're going to, if you ever want to see where people's sliders reside, it's in their posts. It's under documents. So I can tell these are all of the sliders that she's put in recently. But this is her slider. And so what she did is she created a post around that, created a whole long post, and then put the slider in there, and then people just went like this for her book. So we were talking about social media. This is one way of doing that and doing background. So it's not necessarily AI, but it's using an AI type platform that has a lot of versatility.
Yeah, I have to echo Hayden here that this has now become a series.
Well, there is a lot. I mean, we've got 5 minutes left, and I knew it would be like this, but I did as many different examples as I could. And the PDF that I have for you, you can experiment. You could take some of those exercises that are in the PDF and experiment on Claude and ChatGPT. What I'm going to ask you to do, has anyone here signed up for Talkadot? It's where you get instant feedback. Anyway.
So we'll be sending out information to the chapter for the ability to sign up under the NSA Illinois chapter link.
Right. This is different. This is a totally different thing. It takes 2 minutes, And if I could ask you just to work with us, I think this is the future, the Talkadot thing. Just scan the QR code or put in talk.ac/Marti Konstant. And if you could do it right now, that would be awesome. And type in the word extra, and you basically put in smiley face, sad face. You just click, 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 and complete it. And I'm doing this more just to get the experience of using this. So I'm not really going to be doing much with it, but you as members of NSA are going to get, I believe, a significant discount on Talkadot. Because I think it's normally like $360 a year, but I think it's probably going to be less than that through NSA.
Well, yeah,
right?
there's a free version to get used to using it.
Yeah, so these are Talkadot is what we use at Influence and the other conferences to get feedback, but it's not the kind of feedback that Jean's talking about. Dean is talking about, a few extra questions. This is like basic give feedback. So it's what all your speakers can use. So if anyone would be willing to do that, I would really appreciate it so I can see that it worked. I'm also going to put in the chat. Yeah, but at 8 o'clock tonight, we're going to send out our regular survey, and we really need that kind of information so we could get the kind of events that you want. Here's the Talkadot thing. Okay, somebody said done. Perfect. Todd, thank you for that. Okay. So I showed the prompts. Here's for people who want diagrams. You can, you'd have to do a little bit extra work on this because that type doesn't make any sense. But I put in project management diagrams showing the difference between sequential tasks and tasks that can be accomplished in parallel. And I thought that was pretty great looking graphic. This one, which was in our promotional materials, simply said elephant in the workplace. Here we have Aristotle. I know that I have a bunch of photographs of Mies van der Rohe type buildings in Chicago, but I put in Mies van der Rohe type inspired buildings and they came up with this one. And I thought it was just a great image looking up for something that says less is more, less equals more.
Awesome. Marti, on the behalf of everybody here, thank you for preparing what you've put together for us tonight. I think all of our gears are turning about 800 revolutions here as we think about how we can maybe dive into some of the tools. I have not used Claude. I got signed up already. I'll give it a try. And I really want to explore the visual side of it more, because my first foray, I just got confused and kind of gave up. So thank you for that inspiration. If you could, Marti, Dr. Tish, our programming chair for the season, had to step off. She had another meeting to get to. Marti, could you give us a heads up about September, and then I'll give us a heads up about October
Sure.
for programming.
So September, we're going to have insights from influence, and we're going to have 1, 2, 3 speakers that give their own talks about information that they got from influence that they're already using. And it's going to be at the Elm in LaGrange. It's going to be 3 weeks from now. It is going to be an in-person event on a Thursday, late afternoon, 4:30, 5 o'clock. I think it's 4:30 to 6:30. The last time we went to the Elm, we had a packed room. I think it was the debrief from Thrive, and that was a panel format. So that is what is going on in person on September. Do we know the date? September 13th.
September 13th. It's a Wednesday,
Wednesday.
4:30. There's
Okay.
going to be information that you'll be receiving. It'll be on the website as well here shortly for registration if it's not already there. October, we'll have our monthly programming Friday morning on Zoom, and we're going to have a special guest, John Chen. He is out in the Seattle area, and he is a deep expert on building engaging experiences, both in person and online. He's the author of, this is called Engaging Virtual Meetings, great kind of Bible on engagement tools for us to up our game for engagement. And he's going to bring 8 insights that him and a team of professionals did to dive into actually some work that Elizabeth Gilbert has been doing in how she's presenting her work on Eat, Pray, Love is what she's famous for. So some tools for us that we can apply for increasing engagement. And he'll also share some bonus stuff of tools that we can use if we want to embrace some technology to ramp up our engagement, both in person and online. More stuff coming down the pipe.
November
For
10th,
November, yeah.
we're going to have Andy Crestadina in person location in the western suburbs, and we're going to be on a content marketing for speakers. He is a highly in-demand keynote all over the world. So if anybody hasn't seen him, we invite you to participate in this.
Thank you so much. We will no doubt be revisiting this topic on AI as it's so important for us as speakers. This is recorded. We'll have it available for members, and this is a member benefit, right? So we want to continue to do more of these membership only things. Also, if you're still with us, this is something that has not even been promoted yet. I'm going to be doing some, so this is just hot off the presses. I'm going to be doing some basically video interview profiles of members. So a member only benefit to help us get your word out. You as a speaker, the lessons you have as a speaker, and get that out onto social media as a part of our network at NSA Illinois. And if you would like to be a guest, I put together a Google sheet that you can just go into. I'm going to post that link right here. If you'd like to be a guest, I've got 2 days available next week that if you'd like to grab a 30-minute slot, we'll have a video interview and you will be the star. And we'll use that through the course of the winter in getting your word out as additional content, help us promote the chapter. And really our goal is to lift up our members, and that would be a part of it. So if you want to be a part of that, it's open to members. Go ahead, click the link, put your name, email, I'll get you some info, and we'll have a great time talking about you and your business and increase your awareness.
And thanks for being here at our August event, members only event. We enjoyed seeing you.
Thank you,
We're
everybody.
going to see you a lot. Thank you.
Hey, Dean. I think Dean's gone, isn't he? Yeah, he is. Dean, could you stand for just a second?